Hello everyone, I'm Bruffy1322 and this video will showcase the fastest cars overall in GTA 5, organised by lap time and then by top speed. All 660 cars in the game from the 17 vehicle classes that aren't motorcycles, cycles, boats, helicopters and planes have been put through their paces on my testing track and top speed run, and we'll be seeing the best of them in this video. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on future testing of new vehicles added to GTA 5 and beyond, and check out all of the vehicle classes in the playlist. This video is brought to you by my second channel, Bruffy's Random Bits. Subscribe to it via the link in the description for random clips, races, let's plays and other content that doesn't make it to the main channel. So as we start the list, it's important for me to let you know that the intro video to this series, which is linked in the description and pinned comment, likely answers any questions you have about this testing. From simple things like what car upgrades are needed to maximise performance and what HSW stands for, to more complicated things like why I use off-road wheels and overall testing methodologies. Give that video a watch if there's anything you don't understand here, since everything there is assumed knowledge for this video. So we're doing away with the usual pattern of new class-specific testing videos for even-numbered years, and instead I'm going to be looking at the overall fastest cars in the game in 2026 across both lap time and top speed. My theory being that this will kind of hold you over until what will likely be a final GTA 5 DLC in the summer, at which point I'll make class-specific testing videos one more time that'll be the final versions and not require any future updates. So this will be a little bit similar to the 2025 version of this list, but with some very key additions. We're seeing the top 18 fastest cars in total for lap time, which may seem like a little bit of a strange number to land on, but it's because first up we see the fastest non-HSW, non-boosted cars for lap time, with the Krieger, Weaponized Ignis, Turismo Omaggio, FMJ Mark V and Emirates at the very top. And only 0.3 of a second of a lap time between all of them as well, which kind of makes non-HSW supercar races very competitive at the top. The only interloper in that segment is of course the Scramjet, which has exactly the same lap time as the Turismo Omaggio, and funnily enough even the non-HSW FMJ is only 1,000th quicker than those two as well, so it's all very close in that top, normal cars pack if you like. So just missing out on the top 10 is our first HSW car within the top 18 at least, since 19th place would be the HSW Divest 8, with the Banshee GTS, which we'll see more of in the top speed section later, alongside the Toreador, whose boost is good enough to give it a very quick lap time, even though it is ultimately in the Sports Classics class and it doesn't have the most amount of grip in the world. It is still, a relatively competent car in all of the ways, and it has rockets on the back of it, boosting it quite handsomely. So, that's always a massive advantage to have. It doesn't quite manage to match what open wheel cars can do though, which are kind of the opposite end of the spectrum, where they've got not an awful lot of straight line performance, but a hell of a lot of ability in the corners. Open wheel cars are kind of, most of them, 3 out of 4 of them at least, are grouped together at the very start of the top 10 for lap time, with the R88, DR1 and PR4 all being very similar for pace as we dip into the 56-second laps. It is kind of crazy to think that you need a 56-second lap time now for a car to get it into the top 10 overall, when, back in the day, getting even close to under a minute was considered pretty special for a car to do. There's a lot of cars that get a sub 1 minute lap time now, but if for a long time that was kind of, hallowed territory, you weren't going to do that. Now you've got to get 56 seconds even to just get into the top 10. It's kind of crazy, and these open wheel cars show how much things have moved on in that respect. So 5 of the next 7 cars are HSW equipped, which if you don't know anything about that, you can check the aforementioned intro video to the series, which explains it in detail. First up in 7th place, we've got the La Carouse, sitting second in the sports class with an almost 55-second lap time due to its crazy amount of grip, kind of like an open wheel car, just with a much better top speed because of the HSW. We do get into those 55-second laps though with the 6th place Vigilante, thanks to its crazy powerful rocket boost. Without the boost, it is around 10 seconds per lap slower, just to put into perspective how much of a difference that makes. It's one of the most powerful, it might be the most powerful single boost of all rocket powered cars in the entire game. Now, our third fastest supercar sneaks into the top 5, just ahead of the Vigilante, with the HSW Cyclone 2, which has such insane acceleration from that HSW and the fact that it's an electric car that it might as well have a rocket on the back of it for how it feels. It's just as good as the Vigilante in terms of the way that it feels, at least. No non-rocket powered car accelerates quicker than this. So if you're looking for a drag race off the line and you're not allowed to use rocket powered vehicles, this is the one you want. The fastest sports class car in the game sits in 4th place now with the HSW Niobe. Even though we've had some other cars to maybe try to take the crown, I still think this is the best all-round car in the game. A 55.3 second lap is super fast with that nearly 160 mph top speed in a relatively small and nimble all-wheel drive package. It really does make this car the fastest for a lot of different situations, and I think it's unbeatable in that respect. But we're looking purely at lap time here, and the Niobe is a 10th behind the HSW Weaponized Ignis, which is now our second fastest car in the supercars class, and 3rd place overall. It's mainly the classic disappointing supercar top speed, at least for HSW cars, that holds it back. And it's certainly, absolutely now at least, not on the level of our newest king of the supercars class, which is of course one of the newest cars we've had to the game, the HSW FMJ Mark V. One of only 2 cars to break the 55-second lap time barrier at this point. Its crazy grip alongside top 10 overall top speed really does make it a force to be reckoned with. Its long size is kind of what holds it back a little bit from being a generalist like the Niobe, alongside having worse acceleration and top speed, but for lap time it's right at the very top, only beaten by a car that's held that spot consistently since 2020 with the BR8. There's not much more to say about the BR8 that hasn't already been said, to be honest. It's simply the fastest thing around corners in the game, and grip is ultimately what makes the difference for lap time. If you're in a car that's able to go around a corner at 100 mph instead of 70, that time that the other car spends decelerating from 100 to 70, going around the whole corner at 70, and then accelerating back up to 100 and beyond, is all time that you're pulling away from it. And that's the case for the BR8, where even its atrocious top speed can't hold it back from dominating around the track. But speaking of top speed, let's look at that now. So focus your attention on the right hand side of the screen for this segment of the video. I'm including a bit of a bonus here first, showing the top 5 fastest normal cars in the game for top speed. By normal, I mean cars without HSW upgrades or any other boosting mechanics like nitros or rockets. All of these cars now fall outside the overall top 20 due to the increasing number of high top speed HSW vehicles, and as you can see, the Pariah, which used to be the top speed king, is down in 4th place just ahead of the Italia RSX. The brand new Luiva is in 3rd place for normal cars with a pretty impressive top speed for a supercar, to be honest, especially when we're not considering HSW cars, but it is beaten by the muscle class Weevil Custom into 2nd, and of course the absolute king for top speed, well, at least when it comes to non-HSW cars and HSW as well actually, the Banshee GTS, which takes the top spot for non-HSW non-boosted cars at 138 mph for its top speed. The ZR380 and Vigilante have the highest top speeds for non-HSW cars that are boosted in other ways, sitting in 19th and 15th overall respectively. But now let's focus on the top 5 overall cars in the game, regardless of categorization. And obviously they're all HSW cars, starting with the HSW Vigero ZX, which might be at the top of the muscle class for lap time, but it no longer is for top speed, as we'll see, even with that staggering 158 mph as its maximum velocity. Keep in mind that's quicker top speed wise than the FMJ Mark V. We've still got no supercars in the top 5 when it comes to top speed overall, because we got basically it's only muscle cars and sports cars, as we see in 4th place overall the HSW Niobe. Obviously we saw this earlier, which is also because it matches the 4th place overall for its lap time with 4th place overall for top speed, and that it being the only car in the top 5 for both of the lists, lap time and top speed, shows why it's such a good all-rounder and really, you know, the ultimate quickest overall vehicle in the game, I would say, at least if you're looking across, you know, everything. Next up, we've got the newest, fastest muscle car for top speed with the HSW Tampa GT. And it might have one of the biggest discrepancies between lap time and top speed placement for any car in this video. It's very fun to try and handle with that 166 mph top speed and very little grip, and it's been a great addition to the game in that respect, but it also shows how top speed matters such a small amount in terms of how the car performs around a lap. It's all about grip levels, and you know, that determines lap time more than anything else. The top two are both from the sports class, with the HSW Stinger TT in second overall, a couple of mph quicker than what we saw from the Tampa GT, but significantly quicker for lap time. Even if it is not the nicest driving experience in the world, at least it's had its name fixed and it actually is a decent name now rather than the mess that it used to be. But ultimately, the overall number one car for top speed is another car that we saw earlier in the video, with the HSW version of the Banshee GTS. It's the only car to go above 170 mph for its top speed, and with 12th overall for lap time, it probably joins the FMJ Mark V into joint second place for the fastest cars overall in most situations after the Niobe, depending on whether you want a bit more grip or a bit more top speed. And that's it. We've seen the fastest non-HSW, non-rocket powered vehicles for both lap time and top speed, the fastest non-HSW but rocket powered vehicles for lap time and top speed, and the fastest overall for lap time and top speed, regardless of any kind of categorization or anything like that. And like I said, this video is a bit of a holdover to keep everybody up to date on the current state of things and what the fastest cars in the game are across a wide variety of metrics after all the recent DLCs and such, and I'll be testing any new cars from any future DLC as usual, with a view to doing sort of full class specific videos later in 2026 when I can be confident that when I make them, they'll be the final versions that I ever need to make, which basically means that there's not going to be any more DLC cars to, you know, make them outdated. So that's what we've got coming later in 2026. Until then, I'll be testing DLC cars as they release, and obviously you can keep an eye on the playlist is always organized to make sure that you know where all cars are. GTAcars.net, the spreadsheet, there's a bunch of resources these days to be able to keep an up-to-date view of, you know, all of my testing. And I'll be hopefully being able to do final versions of these class specific testing videos will be quite nice. Hopefully I can do that later this year. So that's everything for this video. Please consider supporting on Patreon or become a YouTube member if you want to support this work and get some extra perks for doing so, such as early access to videos and other testing results. Also remember to read the description for more info, come up with your thoughts, like the video if you enjoyed or found it helpful, and subscribe for more. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.